Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, we got episode 253 today.
My goodness gracious. I don't have anything for it.
You got nothing? All right, so you've come well prepared today, I see. Okay.
Yes, after having a cold for the last 2 weeks, okay?
Oh, boy. Yeah, you must be a baseball guy. You're really soft, canceling games, canceling preparation.
I haven't, did you see the guy who, I'm going to forget the name of the player. This a hockey player. This happened recently. Had a bunch of teeth knocked out, and he ended up with a tooth embedded in his lip.
Oh, I heard something about that. Yeah,
Carolina, I believe this was
something like that. Yeah,
and so after they had him stitched up, and then they MRI him and realize he still has a tooth stuck in his lip. So they rip out the stitch, take out the embedded tooth, and then restitch him back up.
Yeah, I did hear something about that. That's we had a kid. I think it was over the weekend. The showcase that I did, kid from Connecticut, I think. Kid just tried to lift his stick and just caught him in the mouth and knocked out a bunch of teeth. And he was like livid. It was like 8 minutes left in the game. He was slamming his. They threw him out of the game because he was throwing a fit, but he didn't care. I mean, there was 8 minutes left. He was done. It's just like I felt bad for him, but.
Do you think there's anyone that actually plays hockey at a high level that actually has any of their own teeth?
Very few. It's just between sticks and pucks and things that can happen. Just, that's why I do the full cage, and I have for many, many years.
There's the infamous picture of Bobby Clark holding up, I think, the second cup.
Yeah.
And he's missing his two front teeth. Apparently he wasn't good at Christmas or wanted a hippopotamus or anything like that. And it's,
yeah, it is. I get the willies when I just think about it.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, ways to get a hold of us. Digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the text line. Digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. So anyway, here in 253, we're going to talk about forgiving the past. Meaning, can you go back and play some seasons, some teams, some games, some players that caused you some hurt? Most likely as a kid. Maybe recently too, but, is there something that you have a hard time going back and watching on YouTube or talking about or even going
Show me on the bear where Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift hurt you.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, even going back as a kid, all those years as Red Sox fan growing up and just disappointment, Bruins fans.
Talking about a certain dent.
That could be that one there. That was a bummer for me. Like I said, it was kind of a bummer. But so many years, the Sox would be a second place team. Even the Patriots, we were always second fiddle. We never could really get over that hump when I was a kid, and it wasn't until I was an adult that they started winning championships. But boy, to win one as a kid would have been something or other.
Do you still have your Guy Lafleur voodoo doll?
Well, that's kind of one thing we're going to talk about. Can I forgive those Canadian teams? Yeah, so we're gonna talk about forgiving the past here today. Let me see. Let's do a quick what we're playing, shall we?
Okay.
I'll go first because it'll be real quick. The only thing I've really been playing, Ron, is I've been playing some game-winning drive. I've been playing I picked up 1970, and I've been playing the Boston Patriots, another bad team, another 2-12 team or whatever they were back in the day. And the one game that they won to open up the season with, they lost. So I think I got them at 0-6 right now. And chances are they're going to go winless this season. I can't see them winning a game.
Really?
Yeah, they were a bad team. They won a couple of games. They
beat in real life.
They beat Miami on opening day.
Okay.
And then I forget who they beat in the middle of the season. I think it was the Bills or something like that. And, they just were a bad team. And so I'm playing them in game-winning drive, and they're not getting destroyed, but they're not winning. And you can just tell that they're not going to be winning many games, with the numbers that they have. But it's fun to get back to game-winning drive. Was playing. The only other thing I really got to was Did you say Clay put that out for beta already?
Yeah, that's an open beta. You're talking about the quick version of season ticket?
Yeah, so Clay Dresslock over there with Mogul Sports and season ticket football, season ticket baseball, he released a kind of a quick play, if you will, final score type of game for his season ticket football game. So we were kicking that around a little bit, and I was playing some of that and giving him some feedback on that. So that's the other thing I was playing was some of that. I don't think I've actually played. Like I say, I've just been driving back and forth to the rink and shoveling snow. It's all I've been doing for 7 days, really. And I got another 7 days coming up with that. But I really can't wait till the end of March when I'm done with all that.
I bet.
And that I can actually play something and get back to doing some things on the channel. Because I did a chat the other night, maybe last night, and I just sat in front of the computer here and said, I'm too tired to play anything. And my mind is kind of mush. But I wanted to say hi to people and see what other people are playing. And so I was like, what are you all playing? Maybe I can kind of have some fun, listening to you guys. But for me, I haven't had too much fun doing anything here except working. So, but I like I said, I got my seasons in that arrived here a few weeks ago, so I already did all the unboxing. So when someone's like, doing an unboxing, it's like, I might have to order something because I ain't playing anything, but at least I can do an unboxing. Holy cow, this has been kind of nuts.
Throw a couple seasons into a FedEx box, and then, it's new to you.
Yeah, I know. I should do that. Oh, look what I got. Let me unbox, 78 again or something like that and have some fun with it, But, I didn't even get a chance at the rinks. The showcases go, they're like boom, boom, boom. It's like game after game after game. They do a Zamboni at halftime, so they don't even do 3 periods. They do 2 halves. So it's like you get that quick Zamboni, go out, grab a drink, or, go to the bathroom, whatever, say hi to somebody. Then it starts right up again, and then there's a Zamboni, and the next game starts. So there's no downtime. So I brought my iPad, and I was like, I'll find some things to, projects to do and games to play. I didn't have any time to even research anything like that at the rink. It was just go, go, go. So usually I can do that. I'll have a little bit of time. Say, I think I'm going to play this game, or I'll play this game in baseball, or maybe I'll pull out this, and no time at all, which is good because it's go, go, go. But so there's been nothing with me as far as gaming goes in the last 4 or 5 days. So I've been trying to follow other people. I saw, Sports Time Machine was playing some Strat football on his channel as I was watching some of that, and Al Red Sox fan he's bouncing between Strat and Napa with his stuff there, so it's been fun to watch some of that. I think it's Jerry he likes to play a lot of Apple football, so I listen to him at night too. And so it's just a handful of channels out there listening to baseball and football. The usual suspects are out there that I listen to all the time. But I haven't played too much aside from the couple of quick play football games I got. And I did Shootout EZ the other night. I don't know if I talked about that on the last show or not. But
I don't think you did.
But I pulled out Shootout EZ. It's right here to the left of me in my manila folder rack. And I put that on the table. It says, I want to play some Shootout, but I'm going to play the Shootout EZ. And so I just pulled out a bunch of seasons. I pulled out 5 different seasons, and I just pulled a couple teams from each season, and I played them in a Shootout EZ game. And it takes, 30 seconds to set up the game and another 30 seconds to roll. You can play it literally in a minute 5. I think I timed myself a minute 5.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how fast the game plays. And you just roll 10-sided dice, so you look at wherever you are on the chart. If you're, +1, -1, and you roll the dice and you look to see if you score any goals that period is what you do. And so it's 3 rolls a team, unless there's overtime, and it's just boom, 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 and you're done, and you get the game. So I played, just pulled out some different teams from different eras and played them. So I think I played some 70, 71, 74, 75. I think I played 82, 90. There was like 5 different seasons I played. I just pulled 2 random teams out and played them. And, I had some fun playing some Shootout EZ. It was a good time. So I think that's about everything I've done. So what's been on your plate?
Well, let's see. I'm recovering from a pretty decent head cold, which pretty much knocked me out most of last week. So I think we talked about when we did the show with Al last time around that I purchased a couple seasons of the replay ebooks for baseball. We talk about that at all on the show?
I don't know if we talked about it on the show. I know you've been playing some replay, and you picked up 64 was free?
64 and 67 were freebies that Pete Ventura gave away after Bob Uecker died. And so I had gone through and found a PDF I had that had the charts and the pretty healthy rare playbook along with that, and played a sample game of that. And then I went and bought, again, limited seasons in PDF form that are full. Maybe there's more that I don't realize. So I bought 78 and 86. because apparently I have to have night as part of the subject of the show. 78. I think I have to have it every baseball game I've ever even dreamt of, let alone
that's 78 with football, baseball, hockey for me. Yeah,
that one I have in 18,000 different forms. And 86 because it was there, and so I just started to take around the 86 Red Sox and just get a feel for the game, and ended up I played 9 games of it in the last couple of weeks. And it's just kind of a giant what if, not a serious thing, and all that. And I've enjoyed it. I think the game has some limit. I did a video on my impressions of the game, and as with every game, there are some limitations, but I think it does a lot of things really well. I think I've told you, clever game is where I would put that. And so, we just beat the Mickey out of Cleveland. 2 out of 3 there in Cleveland. So be pulling that one out again. The 56 replay, because we started in the middle of April, has finished April, despite the fact that we took 1 week to do a couple conference championship pre-plays, and I've missed a week because I was sick. Yep, we're already into May. But that's been fun. I mean, I think we'll do a show on Outside the Wheelhouse at some point, and that is just outside my wheelhouse, and that's been a good deal of fun. It's been interesting to see teams that were historically bad be good at the start of the year. I mean, I've already done, intentionally did before we started 2 bad teams just to say we got them on the channel, the Chicago Cubs and Kansas City Athletics. Well, Kansas City's in first place. Granted, we've only played 9 games. And the Cubs, I think, have been on at least once, if not twice. So he just never know. But that's fun. I want to give a shout-out to Mark Shaw, who goes around and either has done some AI recreations of pictures or has assembled a huge collection of ballparks.
Oh, yeah.
Used with Action PC. And so I'm trying to, as much as I can, use period-specific shots for those ballparks. I mean, some of them are default in the game, and
it's hard to find those older ones.
I mean, no one was really doing panoramic shots from the upper deck or that. I mean, you couldn't have thought in 1956 or 1949 or some of those years that at some point someone's going to want to use this to play a game on. It just never occurred to anybody. And so those shots are pretty rare. And so, yeah, absolutely great stuff. And it certainly builds more immersion along with it. So, like I said, couple weeks into the season, did the Red Sox and Yankees yesterday, and it was nice to see the Red Sox bomb a team because the last time that the Red Sox were on the channel before that, well, we'll talk about it in the subject of the show. Because
who are some of the better teams in that league?
The Yankees should win the American League quite comfortably. Cleveland's pretty good. The White Sox are about to be good. In the National League, the reason why I took this season, there's 3 teams that finished within 2 games of each other. Brooklyn, which still has Jackie Robinson and Duke Snyder and that, Sandy Koufax. Milwaukee, Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, and Cincinnati. Ted Kluszewski, Big Clue, the guy whose forearms were so ripped that he ripped off the sleeves on his sweater. So you've seen pictures of him. You may not have known his name, but I mean, he looks like he is.
He's got the Popeye arms, yeah.
Popeye, very good, Popeye arms, and Frank Robinson. So some big name players for some teams, and so yeah, so we should have some good races.
The Duke. Every time we hear the Duke, and now coming up is the Duke. He wants to do his own kid in a father-son game.
There you go. So
I used to love that.
So that's been about. Oh, I bought a super addictive game, not a sports game. Balatro, Balatro,
I think I've heard of it.
I'm sure you have. It is. You and I got in a conversation not too long ago about games that use playing cards to play the game. Don't need to go any further with that. So looking through my Steam recommendations, pop this one up. Okay, well, what is it? Because it looks to be, it's a playing card game. So is it poker? Is it solitaire? So it really is someone built a deck building game but with playing cards. Because it's computer, you can turn them into magical playing cards and all that. And they said, this is the most addictive game you'll ever play. Okay, I'll be the judge of that. So $15 later.
Really?
Oh, I think I've probably got 20 hours in it in the last week. It's a poker solitaire mix. It's all solo play. You try to build the best deck. It has those retro 8-bit graphics.
Oh, sometimes that works.
Those of us in our 50s just kind of go, ooh. And it's an independent designer. It was actually the independent game of the year last year.
Oh, nice.
And it's available for various different platforms, not just the PC. And in his first week, it was released last summer, he sold 2 million copies.
Oh, wow.
2 million copies.
Wow.
I mean, imagine doing a podcast with a potential audience of 2 million. So I've been playing a lot of that. It really does get addictive. You do 8 rounds of 3. I've yet to win. I have yet to win the game, but it really takes all the elements of poker and solitaire and throws it all in together. So that's pretty
ID was playing a game. I'm trying to find out where I wrote it down. He told me to play this one game. Oh, I can't find it now. He was playing it on his channel. I had a chat. He came on the chat one night. We were talking about this new EV Mux software that I'm using. And he's like, you got to play this game. He was showing it off, and it was very similar to a game I was playing. Man, I wrote it down. I can't find it for the life of me. Here it is. Pentaquest.
Okay, no, that's not.
And so it's a game on what was that service that we use? Is it like Boardlandia or Board Game Geek or? Remember me and you were playing that game on the computer?
Not Board Game Geek. It's a website that has every.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, I forget the name of that site there. Boardlandia, Board something or other. But anyway, I think he was playing it on there, and it also has cards. And drive-through cards has these cards, and they're like $10 or $20 or something like that.
That's not bad at all.
So so I'm looking into getting the WHA 7778 set for Hockey Bones. And I've already put this game into my cart at drive-through, so I'll pick it up. But what's kind of neat is what you do is you have these creature cards in front of you, and you roll the dice, and you need to kill one monster around, I guess, to keep the game going. Otherwise, you're dead. And so you take the dice and you put it on the card to eliminate that card, and then roll the dice again. And so it's all about how do I want to spend my dice, and the dice roll. Very similar to that game I played, Dice and Fold. It's called Dice and Fold on Steam, which I was really addicted to. I guess they have some new updates, so I should go check it out because they have an endless mode now and a casual mode. But that's another thing where you have the monsters on the table and you roll the dice, and you need to put the dice on the cards to eliminate the threat.
Kind of similar to a one-deck dungeon in that respect too.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's that same kind of vein. And so those games are super fun. As far as non-sports games, those games are kind of fun too. But so you found that game there that you played that's addicting. Sounds like it could be kind of fun. Sounds kind of fun.
It competes with Gems.
Oh, really? That's how good it is, huh?
So far, I mean, the thing with Gems is, I mean, that's a deck building. It's Candy Crush meets a deck builder, and so there's just endless things that you can do with that game.
I don't think I've played that in 3 years.
Yeah, it's my most played game. I've got close to 2,000 hours on it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I remember when we started playing that. I had a lot of fun with Gems of War, and then I got to a point where I just kind of got stuck and I couldn't advance, and it was frustrating because I was trying to upgrade my guys and get new cards. It just wasn't happening. I was just like, never mind. So
I'm at level 100 and 1,100 and something in Gems.
When I run into those games and I hit the wall, and then it becomes you need to buy stuff and buy a lot of stuff. And
never had to pay a dime for it.
Yeah, that's what you said. I bought a few things and it helped me get through a few levels, but then after a while it's like, yeah, okay, I'm kind of tired of this.
Yep.
But anyway. All right, so let's get to the topic of the show today, which is forgiving the past. Here we go. Boy, we've hit some sore subjects here in 2025, haven't we?
It's only February.
Yeah, we're usually a lighthearted show. We don't take things too seriously, if you will. We just like to have fun with it. And boy, holy smokes, we're we had our Red Sox fan. We talked about playing the bad eggs, people who have had some things go on in their personal life. And now here we are talking about forgiving the past. And
I'm going to start with something that from an angle that you probably wouldn't have considered.
Okay.
Dwight Evans.
All right.
One of my favorite players of all time. Actually, I've got his autograph. You can't see it, but I got an autographed baseball of his up behind me behind the camera. And so if you're a follower of the channel, you know about the infamous eighth inning of Game 7 of my 1988 World Series, which was primarily goated on not only by the classic pitching of Bob Stanley, which we'll talk about later in the show, Mike Boddicker, and Lee Smith, one of my favorite players of all time, but also a misplayed ball by Dwight Evans, which allowed that inning to continue and allowed the Reds to score 7 runs and eventually win the World Series. And so in pulling out the replay, doing 86, again, not a serious project, just having some fun with it, learning the game. The first time that Evans came up was the first time I'd played Dwight Evans since that infamous game.
Really?
And so I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to, if you have someone that is a GOAT, and I'm not talking the Tom Brady or Joe Montana type of GOAT, but someone that made some sort of bad play or whatever on your tabletop that may have left you a bit sour, and then they come up again. Evans comes up at his first time up, and again, it's different games, it's different years, it's not related in any way, shape, or form. But the first thought is, this is the first time that I've had to deal with said player, because Boddicker isn't on that 86 Red Sox team, and Lee Smith isn't even in the American League in 86. That was weird to me, because, again, it's just, okay, I'm in my 50s, I'm okay with what happened, but I can just imagine what would have happened in New England if he had misplayed that ball in a crucial. You think the fallout for Buckner was bad in 86.
Yeah.
Can you think of any situation where you might have had a player fumble something in a game that wouldn't necessarily be not a bad egg, but something in real life that wouldn't have been a situation where he would have been wearing horns, but all of a sudden screwed up in a game so bad where quite clearly you can pin it on that, and you got to play him again at some point?
Well, they say in hockey that, when you talk to, people after the game, whether it's, high level like the Bruins or even the juniors like I do, it's like they never will blame it on the referee. If you get a bad call, or, maybe the goal goes in and they don't count it, or it's an offside, or, ref ball with the Chiefs or whatever, that's a different level. But anyway, they'll always say we had other opportunities to win the game,
right? And
so it's hard to pin it on one guy, like a whole series or a whole game or a whole season on one guy, like Steve Bartman. The Cubs. So many people would have blamed it on him, and still do. But I've seen videos where people break down like what happened after that, and the team just completely collapsed after
and
that.
Had just like the Sox in '86, the Cubs had the lead at home in Game 7.
Yep, and it's just you can go back to say that was a pivotal point, because if that didn't happen, then this might have happened. But it's there's so many other things that happen during a game, and we all tend just to focus on that one thing that happens late in the game and forget about all the other things that happen in the first part of the game. There's so many things that you can do to win a game along the way, and then they always say don't let it come down to that one play.
Right.
And if you do and it doesn't go your way, then that's on you, because you needed to put this away earlier. So I don't like to blame it on one guy, or a goalie or a quarterback or a kicker, because there's so many other things that could have happened during the game, whether it's the Super Bowl or Stanley Cup or World Series. There's so many other plays that could have been made that weren't made, is what I'm trying to get at.
So what about too many men on the ice?
From what I hear, the guy was out there for quite some time. It was not just a quick boom, on the ice. At the time, it was like, here we go again. But from what I've heard, again, I was just a kid.
Should probably back up and explain that.
So what happened is the Bruins were beating the Canadiens in Game 7, and they were going to go on to face the Rangers, I believe it was.
Yeah, Game 7, Stanley Cup semifinals, 79, up in Montreal. I mean, it wasn't...
Yep, and they took the lead, and Montreal tied. They took the lead, Montreal tied. And this is, like, they've never beaten Montreal, so they took the lead again, I think on a Rick Middleton goal, and then with like 2 or 3 minutes left, the Bruins get called for too many men on the ice, and Montreal scores to tie it on the power play, then wins it overtime, and that's kind of the too many men call. But from what I understand, even like not too long after that, after we, licked our wounds, they were saying that, they were out there for a good amount of time. It wasn't just a quick jump on and jump off. It was well-deserved too many men. It really was. Somebody, and even the team, I think, remember talking about, says, yep, that we blew it. We blew it. That was on us. It was not a phantom hook or a phantom trip, and it was a pretty legit call. It's at some point, it's like, you got 6 guys out here. Somebody get off. Nope. All right, I got to call it at this point. And so, so that doesn't sting quite as much as it used to, knowing that the 76, Patriots roughing the passer on Stabler, that still kind of burns a lot of people, and it should, because there's no way that should have been roughing the passer when he still had the ball in his hand. He's trying to throw it, and he hit it, he hit his arm. But that was made up for with the tuck rule. So, okay, you get one, we get one. There you go. We each won a playoff game thanks to the officials. Mm-hmm. But when I start thinking about forgiving the past, it's a lot of those Bruins seasons, not so much the too many men, even though I thought they should have won that game. And I've gone back and I've played the Bruins Rangers in the Stanley Cup as a what if a couple times, because that should have happened in my mind. But I look back, at the 86 season, I guess I'm not even a huge baseball fan, but yeah, the 86 season, I have that in a couple of games. It's hard to play. It is. It's hard to play because
I will never replay that World Series.
It's just, we were, as a Red Sox fan, I was 19 or something like that. It's just, and it's like, oh my gosh, I remember I was at the Patriots game. And that's the game they beat the Angels, when the ball went off the guy's head and into the crowd, and they came back, I think, in the top of the ninth and kind of won it in California. So I kind of followed that a little bit. And then they won the World Series, and they were up, and they should have won that. And I felt bad for Clemens because he was pitching his butt off in that series, and the team couldn't get it done. And so that was a huge disappointment. And so I still have trouble playing that one. I will say that. The Bruins a couple of years ago, when they had the best team like in all of hockey, history in the universe, and they couldn't get past the first round. I mean, that was a disappointment. Bruins losing Game 7 to the Blues, losing Game 6 to the Blackhawks with 2 goals in the final minute. I mean, there's so many disappointments even recently with Boston, which I didn't even watch any of those games, really. I kind of heard about them. I just not into the modern hockey, and I haven't been for many years, as you guys know. But back as a kid, there was so many disappointments, and it's hard to go back and play those disappointments. Maybe that's why, Ron, I play a lot of the bad teams, because there's no disappointment with a bad team.
Yeah,
there's no expectations at all.
Expecting to lose.
Yeah, so when I play the Buccaneers, the 76, or my new thing is the 1970 Boston Patriots, I have no expectations whatsoever that they're going to do any good. So it's not going to hurt. When I try to play a good team, and I try to, as we do, we try to rewrite history, like we do. And whether they do or they don't, it's, the only one that kind of bothered me was when I played the 72 Stanley Cup, when the Boston keeps getting destroyed by the New York Rangers. And it's like, wow, they just can't beat them no matter what I do. No matter what game I play, the Bruins cannot beat the Rangers in 72. So I find that kind of weird. The other one that I have a hard time forgiving is 2007 New England Patriots. It's tough going 16-0 or whatever they did, or 17-0, 18-0, I forget what it was, and then they lost the Super Bowl. They only scored 14 points in the Super Bowl. And they had a chance to win it. The guy intercepted the ball and he dropped it. Jumped in the air, right in his chest, and he dropped it. That would end the game, and they would have won it and been undefeated. That's a tough one to play. I mean, it's the best team ever, going 16-0, whatever the heck it was.
I would like to see an engine where the Giants win that game. I just picked up, you got for me for Christmas, as a matter of fact, the Super Bowl set for
Solitaire
Pro.
Yep.
And I looked at the Patriots ratings compared to the Giants ratings. I can't see the Giants coming within 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, we should definitely play that game and see how it goes.
Because Brady's grades are some of the best ever.
Oh, they should be in 2007.
And they should be. Oh, absolutely. I mean, they were well deserved because they're based on the regular season. But I could see that. Well, that would be a tough one to play. And again, I think maybe Action PC. A game that just has a lot of ratings in general. The Giants might contend in that one, but I don't see how the Patriots lose that game. I mean, we've talked about, I suppose, if you're a Baltimore Colts fan, the whole franchise would be, sour grapes. We've talked about Super Bowl III replays. And the Colts are going to do okay in some. Someone did one recently, and again, the Jets were right there. I mean, that on the table, that's not a fluke. What happened was not a fluke. But that's the sort of thing. But yeah, I could see that because that is...
Well, the Colts, you get the whole 70s with Burt Jones and the Colts were one of the better teams throughout the mid-70s. Mm-hmm. And Jones would just be too hurt to play in the playoffs. It just seemed like he was always hurt. And he would come in hurt and just leave hurt and just, again, the 70s were brutal. I've watched, all the this week in NFL from the 70s, and the Colts were one of the best teams, but they were just too beat up. Jones just got destroyed out there, And you wonder if he was healthy or even remotely healthy, what the Colts could have done, to try to get by the Raiders or the Steelers, in those games. So for me, yes, the big ones are the 2007 Patriots. That's one. I still don't play that. The Bruins from, was it 2011? I still don't play that. I think I have that season for.
That's the year that you guys won, though, right? They beat Vancouver.
Oh no, so I'm not 11. Yeah, I do have that one. What's the one that was it?
21 or no?
21 maybe it was. Yeah, they had the best team ever, like most wins ever, and they lost in the first round of Florida.
Yeah, I did the What If finals. I played them against Vegas in Strat, and Vegas won game 1. I put in Jeremy Swayman, an omen of things to come, I think, for the Bruins.
Yeah,
and then they won the next 4. They beat Vegas in 5.
That's just kind of what the Boston sports teams did throughout my youth. Because another one I play a lot of is the 70-71 hockey season, which Esposito and Orr set all kinds of scoring records. And they put in this guy named Ken Dryden in the Montreal net, and no one could beat him. And he went on. I just saw a thing on YouTube about Ken Dryden, too, a little feature about how he quit playing hockey to be a lawyer, then came back and just had like 7 or 8 of the best seasons ever for a goaltender. And but yeah, it was just Boston should have won another cup in 70-71, and they ran into this guy named Dryden, and then they just rode right by the Blackhawks and won it all. And so that's another forgiving the past season. If you notice, that's one I always play. It's just because the Bruins didn't win it, so I got nothing to lose, and they're a solid team, and it is fun to go back and play those guys and see if I can get them to win the cup. But I think I did that. Was it Final Score Hockey by Downey? I played the whole season.
Yeah, that was
And that's a quick play game, but I rolled the whole season, got some pretty good results with that, and then the Bruins they stomped all the way through the playoffs. They stomped. Again, it's a quick play game. It's one dice roll per team, and that's the score. But they walked through the playoffs. They didn't have any issues at all. So that's a fun one to play. Now, so those are seasons I have sometimes, and teams I have a hard time with. Individual players, I'm trying to think if there's an individual player that I have to forgive. Obviously, Buckner comes to mind. That's one you got to forgive as a Red Sox fan that I know you still haven't forgiven yet because you won't play that on your tabletop. 86, you said.
No, but I forgave him a long time ago. That was never his
fault.
But
you won't play that. So, I mean, you haven't really forgiven him.
Yes, I have. It's the Mets I haven't forgiven. John McNamara I haven't forgiven. I mean, Buckner is blameless in that.
Well, you know what I mean. You haven't forgiven the scenario, I guess.
I haven't forgiven it, right? But yeah. Buckner,
yeah. Now, as far as teams, I've been let down by so many teams. I'm trying to think of some teams I just won't play.
No, you already did the teams. It's players.
Oh, players. I'm trying to think about players. If there's any one player that's disappointed me, not really. I mean, I love playing Roger Clemens because my recollection is Clemens. when Clemens played with Boston, is that the Red Sox couldn't score more than one run. Clemens would either pitch shutout ball or one-run ball, come out in the eighth, and the Sox would lose 3-1 or 4-1, in the ninth. And that's just my recollection is that, then the next night they'd put up 10 runs. So if Clemens was on the mound, the Sox never scored. When Clemens wasn't on the mound, they'd put up 10. That's kind of my recollection of the Clemens years. And it's like, boy, this guy goes in, pitches his arm off, allows maybe one run, sits down, and just watches the team lose every single time. I see Clemens on the bench shaking his head. It's like, Jeepers Creepers, what's going on here? And then the next night they score 10. That could be quite wrong, but that in my mind, that's how the Red Sox were with Clemens. So I like to play Clemens and see if I can get him some runs, So I kind of, but then again, when they don't, I have nothing to forgive, Clemens for, but because I'm rooting for him, but I just feel bad for him. I kind of feel bad for the situation. So
what about a LaFleur or something like that?
Someone that scored a big goal or a big play. There's probably
Stabler probably kind of qualifies for that for you. You like playing. Actually, most of your Stabler stuff's been with the Oilers, but that's.
Let's put it this way: I would not be forgiving Stabler and the Raiders, and I wouldn't be playing them if we didn't beat them and win all those Super Bowls. If the Patriots hadn't won a Super Bowl and that's as close as they came, then yeah, that's borderlines on unforgivable as far as tabletop gaming goes, because it's like, man, but winning all those Super Bowls really
changes a lot of different things.
Oh, it does. It makes everything go away. It really does. All the hurt from the past and all the things that drove you nuts as a kid. It's all gone. And even when the Red Sox won those World Series, it was just like in 2004. I have that season in Strat. I don't have it in APA. I should get it in APA. But like you said too, it's like they're not going to get by the Yankees on your tabletop. That was a fluke that they won 4 games in a row.
I think they would do quite well.
You think so?
They were pretty even. I think the big surprise in real life was that the Yankees got up 3-0. The fact that the Red Sox would have lost that series. I mean, the Yankees had won the division, but they weren't that much better than the Red Sox, especially coming on. I mean, you bring up another point, 2003, when Grady Little won't pull Pedro Martinez in the Game 7 in New York, and they come back and tie, and they send out poor Timmy Wakefield to try to hold the Yankees at bay in the 11th, and Aaron Boone homers. I mean, that's much more, evil, if you will, if you're a Red Sox fan, than what Bucky Dent did back in '78. But I never had a problem with Aaron Boone.
Peter Klima, that might be one.
Yep.
When he scored for the Oilers in that overtime in Boston, and that kind of just set that series spiraling.
That series was over, yeah.
Yeah, when he scored that goal, that was it. Boston never came back from that. So that's a name that sticks out, and I'm not a big fan of his because of that goal he scored against the Boston Bruins. So I don't know if I'd really want to play that. So there's one name that sticks out. Not so much the Guy Lafleur. That was Montreal. They were just so good. I've kind of forgiven the Canadians. I still don't like to play them on my desktop too much. But I kind of, them and the Yankees, obviously the biggest, rivals here for me. Time passes, we won championships since then, and you look back and I appreciate those teams a little bit more. Maybe not, well, I mean, it's hard to say because, the Canadians really kind of worked the system to create the best team. They really did, with how they did the drafting and the salary caps and all that stuff. So what they did, they had an advantage, and so they should have won all those things. The same with the Yankees. Anytime anybody was any good, they went to the Yankees. And in today's sports, as much as I don't like to follow it, I got to say the parity's a lot better because they've made it to such a point where, well, maybe not in baseball, but I know with hockey.
No, I mean, there's
baseball. You can. There's no salary cap. You can have a $29 billion payroll, and it ain't going to matter. You could take every single guy in the league and put him on your team.
Dodgers have only won 4 World Series in 50 years. So,
but I'm saying is though the last season they jacked up, and they did that, and
they finally won a World Series, but it's not like that they've won 4 or 5 straight.
Oh no, well, not yet. Who won it last year?
The Dodgers.
Okay, so we'll see what they do this year with that.
Dodgers won in 20 during the COVID season, and then they won last year. But it takes a lot to get there. I mean, what the Chiefs have done, is remarkable, especially in
I think the Chiefs are doing what the Patriots did, is that they just played in lousy divisions. And so
that's not a strong division.
By default, the Patriots, I mean, because the Bills fell apart and the Dolphins fell apart and the Jets fell apart, and there was really nobody contending for that AFC East. So by default, when the season kicked off, they had already won the division. So
speaking of teams that you might have grown up with that didn't get all the way and lost in heartbreaking fashion. Vikings teams of the 70s, Bills teams of the 90s, Bills teams of now.
Oh, cheapest, yeah.
I mean, does that come to a point where do you play them and give them and get them over the hump? Do they not, does the Vikings not lose to Dallas every year?
Oh, that Dallas game. Yeah, the Dallas game in Minnesota when Staubach threw the Hail Mary game, and they called the pass interference on the defense. He turned around to get the ball. Made a play on the ball.
It didn't matter. He scored.
Yeah, but I'm saying they threw it. They threw the flag on. So in case they didn't score, it was a flag. It was ref ball. I was like, you got to. First of all, I was mad that Dallas won the game because I was rooting for Minnesota because I was sick of Dallas. I wanted Minnesota to win. I did. I play a lot of Vikings. If you notice, I always like Tarkenton and the Vikings and Chuck Foreman and all those guys, and they never could win it all. But I like playing the Vikings for some reason. And the Cowboys beat them in that game. And, yeah, that's when I have a hard time forgiving the Cowboys for that one. As much as I still like playing the Cowboys and, Preston Pearson and Too Tall Jones and all those guys, that's one game I have a hard time forgiving because it was just I wanted the Vikings so bad, and they just threw this Hail Mary up, and the guy caught it and got a touchdown, and then then the flag was just like the kick in the crotch after. It's like, that was not pass interference. It was not. And I know we made the catch and it doesn't matter anyway, but that sticks in my craw as, oh my gosh, the refs really wanted them to win the game. That's just as a kid, that's what I felt because I was like, man, how does that play happen in the whole bit? But yeah, that's one that bothers me. And I had no skin in the game. It's not a local team. I don't have any favorite players. It just, pulling for the Vikings and they didn't do it. So I was kind of bummed about that.
When I started gaming 1,000 years ago, I had a really hard time with the Yankees because, they broke my heart a ton as a kid. And in fact, if the Yankees lost, I really enjoyed it. When I started to get back into this and get real serious with it, and that, I became kind of curious to see how that all worked. And so I don't necessarily mind playing them as much now. Do I mind if they lose? Not really. Do I mind if they win? Not really. But it took a while to do. I will say this: when we did 78, obviously, if there was a Yankee team that I despise more than anything else on the planet, it'd be the 78 Yankees. And so they won the division in my 78 project on a channel, and fully kind of expected that. I mean, they won, and it legitimately won. And so they get to play the ALCS, and they're playing the Rangers, who finished third. They finished within 5 games of Kansas City, but they finished third in real life, and they win the division in my replay. So they go back and forth, and the way it's set up is that the first 2 games were in Texas, and I forget how that was all split up. And then the last 3 would have been in New York, and so we get to game 5. And because the Yankees didn't have to burn Ron Guidry in to get to the playoffs, he's pitching in game 1, and he's pitching, or he might have pitched game 2, and I think he's certainly pitching in game 5. So you're going for the pennant for the Yankees, and you've got Ron Guidry on the hill, and you got the Dodgers waiting. Okay, so we're going to get a real life World Series here. And just one of those, it was over in the second inning. I think Texas was up 7-0. In the second inning. And so Guidry, who just broke my heart as a kid, he's getting the snot kicked out of him by Bobby Bonds, of all people, and Texas is going to win. I mean, the game's over. I mean, if you still not over till you get the 27 ounce and all that. But I was surprised how I felt during that game because, I mean, the inner 8-year-old in me is going, oh my God, the Yankees are going to get nuked. And the Yankees have blown this series. And so, strange type things like that. I don't really hate anyone in hockey. I'm not
I find with the Yankees, I think subconsciously I don't like to play with them or against them. And I think we're the same with the Canadians. Those are the only two teams that I can think of that I have a hard time forgiving. And for the most part I have. I don't, it's not like what it was. But there's still this just burning in my soul when I see these teams, because they just won so much during my formative years, if you will, 70s and the 80s. And so when I pull out the late 70s Yankees, that's why I probably like 79 and 80, because the Yankees didn't win it. They were winning it in 77, 78, 81, something like that. But
in 80, they went to the playoffs in 80.
Yeah, but I'm saying they didn't win it. So we had Phillies win it in 80 and the Pirates in 79. So maybe that's unconsciously or subconsciously. That's why I like those seasons a lot, because it's not the Yankees. I don't have to worry about that. And, again, I know it's all fake what we do, but just when I see them win on my table, it does. It just, there's a little burn there. It's just like, oh man, Yankees win. Yeah. Canadians too. When I play the Canadians and they win, it's like, well, they always won. So that's why maybe I like to play other teams and you don't see them on my table as much.
Never had a problem with the Lakers playing basketball, because it's Magic and Kareem, and they were well built, and it's Showtime. The Pistons.
Oh yeah, nobody liked the Pistons.
I mean, you can sit there and begrudgingly go, yep, you're good, and Vinnie Johnson, you're really good, and my feelings for Bill Laimbeer kind of mirror Larry Bird's feelings for Bill Laimbeer, and the less we say about that,
I think
better.
We all do, yeah.
But I think now it's a begrudgingly. The Flyers, although I did not really grow up a hockey fan, just like that whole grind and get other teams to be stupid and get into fights and stuff like that. To me, those games aren't real fun to play, because that it's a different style and it's not wide open, and who's going to be in the they don't care who's in the box. Those players are going to be in the box. Who are they taking with them in the box, and what are you going to find? And I mean, the Flyers are the reason that I was not allowed to watch hockey.
I was going to just bring up the Flyers. I think the Flyers are a team, those 2 or 3 years where they were the Broad Street Bullies and it was just fights and bench clearing brawls. I was not a fan of that. I'm still not. I know some people love it and they love seeing the line brawls and the whole bit and people come off the bench. And to me, that was not my thing. And it still isn't to this day. And so the Flyers are not a team I don't like to play a lot of, because it's just penalty after penalty after penalty, and they would get 20 penalties a game and still win the game, and it was just about cheap shots and beating you up and the whole bit, and I wasn't a big fan of that. And so growing up now, you get to look back at all this stuff and kind of learn what it was all about. And it's like, that's why so many people wanted the Canadians to beat them that one year, because they wanted to end that reign of the stupid hockey. It was stupid hockey. It was goon hockey. It wasn't even hockey. It was just, let's bring in a bunch of guys and just, slash and punch and fight and play dirty and then, win it like the Charleston Chiefs in Slapshot is kind of what it feels like. And it's like, that's not what I want to remember hockey for. I really don't remember hockey like that. I want good hockey, and that wasn't good hockey. That was just like the toughest team's going to win. It's like, it's not what I want. I want to see skilled teams win. I want to see scoring and goaltending. I don't need to see cheap shots. And the Bobby Clarks of this world. And so I don't. I think teams like that they don't make my tabletop, because I can't forgive them for how the team played, I guess I don't have too many individuals that I have a hard time forgiving. Even the Peter Klima one, that stung really bad. Dryden, you can't get mad at Dryden. As much as he won all those cups with Canadians and it frustrated you just can't get mad at him. He was just a stand-up guy, solid guy, didn't seem like he was a jerk out there, and he did very well. But teams, Flyers are one of them. 70s Canadians, I mean, I respect what they did. I don't respect how they got all their guys, so to speak, because it was kind of weird how they got all their guys. But sometimes it's fun to go back and play a game like that and look at all these guys that are loaded for bear. Speaking of the Bears, the 85 Bears, again, you got to respect them. I know they kicked the crap out of the Patriots. Patriots shouldn't have been there. So that there's no need to forgive that at all. They got to the Super Bowl, and we were quite happy that they got to the Super Bowl. And when they got destroyed, we were kind of stunned at first, but then they shouldn't have been in that game. So
Still better that Peyton didn't score. That Refrigerator Perry gets a touchdown and Walter Payton doesn't.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy about that. What is get 56 points and Walter Payton didn't get a touchdown?
46-10. I mean, think of it this way: you outscored the two teams that the Bears beat to get to the Super Bowl. You outscored them combined. The Rams and the Giants, I don't think got 10 points.
Yeah, I have 85 in Apple football. I think that would be fun to go play those Bears playoff games to see if you can shut them out. That's the other thing I want to try with Apple football, kind of on a little tangent here, is to go back and play some of the great defenses. I mean, because, we all have the skill players, get the Marinos and the Elways and the Bradys and all those guys there. But it'd be fun to go back and play, the 77 Falcons, because they had a really good defense, I think it was.
Blitz.
And it was, those 85 Bears. And go back and play some of the Giants had some great defenses, in the 80s and 90s. Go back and play a couple of games with the defenses and just see if they can stuff the offense, because I'm interested to see that with Appa, because with Appa the defense is just kind of a big number, and it just shows it's not an individual play, it's a kind of a combined defense against skill players. So I'm interested to test that out with Appa, is how they handle a really good defense. I know they'll have a high defensive number, and that might lead to more better results for the defense, but I'm interested to see how it works.
Is there a coach that ticked you off so much that if you might not want to put them on? I'm going to go with Billy Martin, because I just never liked him no matter really where he was. He just came across as so obnoxious.
Oh, Billy Ball?
Billy Ball.
I love those commercials when he was with, I don't know if it was the Yankees or was it the A's or whoever he was with. He was with a bunch of teams.
He was with a bunch of teams. Yeah, I always make jokes about, him not being invited to the National Urinal Installers Convention or something like that, because he'd be.
There's only one coach I can think of that I just can't stand.
Jerry Glanville, I think, goes for me and for that too.
Wow, Glanville is all right. Glanville didn't bother me. The one coach, it's a hockey coach, John Tortorella.
Oh, Torts. I can see that.
I can't stand him. I can't stand his attitude. He might be a good coach in the whole bit, but I just hear the stuff that he does and says, and if I'm picturing myself on his team, and I just go up to the owner and says, I'm not playing for this guy. It's just.
I think Mike Keenan drew that type of response too, although they did win the cup in New York.
Yeah, Keenan, Tortorella, again, he sometimes gets results, but it's so weird with the stuff that he does and just the off-ice antics and how he handles himself. I'm not a fan of that. I really am. I couldn't play. It's like just a bad boss, just a bad boss. And it's just, they say a bad boss ruins good employees.
Oh, absolutely.
And so something like that, it's just like, I could just see myself walking away from hockey if I was on that team. Just they'll
go back to the Pistons. I mean, they certainly played the way that the coach was told them to play, but I never had a problem with Chuck Daly. That he knew how to get the best out of his talent. They were the bad boys for a reason, but I never pinned that on Daly. Grady Little and John McNamara were never on the top of my Christmas card list too, and they managed teams that I liked.
Yeah,
So yeah, just kind of curious about that, because that would be, again, when you set something up on the table or the computer and you're trying to picture the whole thing, you might get the laugh of the $76. John McKay, what do you think of the execution? I'm all for it. Or Hank Stram and the Chiefs, matriculate the ball down the field, or John Madden might give you a chuckle or something like that. But I think it all kind of, it's not just the bad egg players or the teams, but all, the whole personalities.
Yeah. Well, let's just face it, we kind of wrap up forgiving the past, whether it's a player, a team, a coach, or a season. This is we play this for enjoyment, right? This is for our enjoyment. It's our chance to go back and play some of our favorite things of the past, and a lot of times it's emotional for us.
Absolutely.
It was these are things that we remember, good or bad, that left lasting impressions on us, and we're going back and we're jumping back with both feet into that part of our lives, And sometimes they were not good memories. Sometimes they were, as a kid, you were shook into the core. When they would lose games, I would be all upset, and I'd be pretty mad about it, And like I said, going to school the next day, or maybe not even going to school because you were so upset. It happens. That's how emotionally attached we were to some of these players and these teams. And so sometimes going back and forgiving the past, it's not an easy thing, because we're going back and we're opening up old wounds, and we're, or maybe even, you were with somebody that's no longer with us anymore. Hey, I remember going to this game with my dad or my uncle or, whoever, and maybe they passed on. So it's hard to go back and play that game because of some memories you get. That's a whole other thing that we never get into here today. But, so you have people that have passed on in your life that you shared some of these memories with. And sometimes you can go back and enjoy that. Sometimes it's hard. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so we want to know from you, as we always like to do. Can you go back and forgive the past? If you go back and play some teams or some seasons or players or whatever it is that you were pretty bummed out about that. You were emotionally scarred for many years. As a kid. It's obviously going to be a loss, or a player was traded. It's another thing we didn't talk about. Players that get traded, your favorite player, or players that hold out, that don't want to play for your team. All that is part of the emotion of it. Can you forgive those players? Maybe that's what we should have gone with players, is not so much how they did on the field or the court or the ice, but how they acted on your team. If they just wanted to get traded off your team. Did they want to come to your team? Did they not want to come to your team? Because, again, people that don't want to play for your team, get out of here, you bum. I don't want to see you ever again. So there's a whole bunch of emotions that go there as well. So, yes, we want to know, when it comes to forgiving the past, how do you handle it? Can you just overlook it? Are there some teams and players and seasons you just avoid because it's too painful to go back? We want to know, because it's something that we all do here on our tabletop and our computers when we play these sports sims. So anyway, let's get to our 3 stars of the week, shall we, Ron? Okay. So, again, this is episode 253. In no particular order, our stars of the week. Number 3 star is Roger Horn. Woohoo! Roger, thank you so much for supporting our show and keeping us going for all these years. Our number 2 star, Marco Scola.
Yay!
Marco. Good to talk to you recently, and glad things are going well for you, and thanks for supporting the show. And our number 1 star, new supporter, Bernie L.
Yay! Thank you, Bernie.
Bernie, thank you so much for helping us out here with the show as we keep things going here. And we march towards Digital to DiceCon 25 in May in Connecticut. Should be a fun time. We're up near 30 people right now coming to the event, so it should be a good time. I got to get up there, and at some point, I'll get down there at some point and set it up and figure out how we're going to set up the tables and take a look at the room and have some kind of itinerary going. I know we want it to be an open gaming session, but we need to have some kind of a structure thing happening there. So looking forward to that as well. And I got to look into the end of March. I was supposed to go to Colorado at the end of March, but I don't think I'm going out there for the roller hockey now. Just things around here haven't worked out for me to get on a plane in March, but things might work out for a last-minute trip out there to the Baseball Hall of Fame, because I think they're having an APA tournament out there. So I need to look into who's running that and how that's happening. I'd like to go out and just kind of watch it and kind of hang out, because I've never been to the Hall of Fame. And so I might go up there if I can slip out there. I'm not sure when that is, but I want to double-check that event. That's something I might go to. Still, again, depends how things are happening around here, but a drive would be easier than a flight at this point. So anyway, all right, so we want to thank all of our Patreons here and 3 stars of the week and everybody that listens to the show. And let's wrap up episode 253.
Absolutely.
So you've been listening to the Digital to Dice podcast, episode 253, Forgiving the Past. Going back and playing some of the harder moments as a kid. Can you do that? How do you forgive the past? Ways to get a hold of us, digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE. Yeah, did I say that right? 978-751-DICE. Yeah, I think I did. That's the text line. digitaltodice@yahoo.com, and over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. Wow. Boy, it's another emotional show.
Yes.
We keep bringing up some things in the past that we need to have some brighter shows, some sunshining shows rather than the dark clouds. But this is part of it. This is part of it. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'm Dave.
I'm Ron.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.